So in today's MMA, we've seen various styles, unique styles, awkward styles, but the elite of the elite are the guys that are able to implement their style and be successful. Today, about 15 UFC fighters that are the best to the consensus today. When I list these fighters out, it's not in chronological order, it's just randomized. The first fighter up is former bantamweight champion and contender Petr Yan. Honestly, Yan's a very good striker. Over the years, most of us thought that he was the best striker in MMA. We've seen some new guys come into the sport, so it's kind of changed now. He has great kicks. His boxing is top notch. I think it's between him and Poirier for the best boxers in the UFC. He's very fast. He has respectable power. His distance management as well. He has good footwork, good defense. He uses the high guard. It's hard for guys to get through his high guard. And I think the best aspect of his game is his pull counters and his counters in general. He's one of the only guys that shoot off of other guys' shots, meaning that as soon as somebody lands on his guard, he's throwing the counter right back and making them pay for it. A lot of guys don't do that in MMA. He also has great body work, another thing that a lot of guys don't implement. So I would have to place Petr Yan at the A tier. Very great striker in MMA. And also, I forgot to mention that he actually has like an amateur boxing background, so it kind of makes sense why he's such a good boxer. The next fighter up on the tier list is former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. So I'm kind of torn on this. Nowadays he's kind of regressed, so he's not at the highest level he once was. So I'm gonna rate him at this point. His kicking game is always gonna be stellar. His distance management is really good, but I'm kind of torn with it now because the DDP fight, I expected him to counter DDP more often than he actually did. So it kind of threw me off. I kind of felt like I overrated his distance management and his range control. He still has good range control and distance management, nevertheless, but I think I might have overrated it. His body work has been lacking, but in the DDP fight, he did show that he added that wrinkle to his game, and it actually was very well. His boxing improved. I still think his boxing is lacking, but it improved. His variety needs to be better. His body work could be better. His mix up of levels, sometimes he just goes to the head. He won't mix it up like go to the body, then go to the head. That's not usually his game. He had a good jab back in the day. His jab is kind of non-existent now. His counter work has always been good. It's still good at this point. I do think it was better back in the day. He was more explosive to the punch. Now, it comes out a little slower. He has really good IQ. His power is decent. I think he's better off the back foot when it comes to power than the front foot. Defensively, I think that's where he's really, really lacking. He uses the long guard a lot. He gets overwhelmed by volume at times. He likes to fight at his pace. When you put a different pace on him, I don't think he's the same guy. At this point, I have to put Israel Adesanya at the B tier. I just don't think he's the same striker as he once was. The next fighter up on the tier list is Rafael Figueiredo. So Fiziev, I think he's a dark horse of lightweight right now. We have to see how he comes back from the injury. But judging from what we've seen, I think he's the best Muay Thai striker right now in MMA. Very quick to the counter, very quick first step. His distance management is decent. His defense is okay at times. I do feel like he gets touched a little more than I would like. He's very explosive. His boxing is good. He needs to add more variety to his boxing, though, like a jab for the most part. And he kind of headhunts a lot, which could get you in trouble at times. His leg kicks are very well. His head kicks are great as well. He has snappy head kicks, very quick. It's hard to even see them coming, it seems like. His power is respectable. I do think we thought his power was more than it is, but he was barely able to hurt Justin Gaethje. Granted, he didn't land like flush power shots on Justin Gaethje, but he was able to tag Bobby Green and other guys, Brad Riddell. Even though he stopped him, it was with a kick. I do think his power is not what we thought it was, like I said, but he still has good power. So I will put Rafael Fiziev at the A tier. He has a lot to work on defensively and with his boxing, but I still think he's one of the best strikers in MMA today. So the next fighter up on the tier list is JDM. JDM, he's top 3 boxers in the UFC right now. There's no debate. Like I was speaking about the body work with Yan, this is another guy that goes to the body very well. He's a good pop shotter. He has good counters. He's good on the front foot. Defensively, he does get hit at times. When he keeps a high guard and is intelligent, and methodical, He is good at evading shots like we've seen against Kevin Holland. But when he wants to come and get you, he disabandons his guard. We've seen it in the Hafez fight. He got tagged a lot. He has a good jab, good power. Distance management is very good. I like his volume. I like his combinations. I do think he could add more of a kicking game, more low kicks and head kicks. I think that's a part of his game he needs to work on. And also, I think, the IQ aspect as well, but that's going to go up with time and more experience. So right now, I would put JDM at the A tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is welterweight contender Jeff Neal. So Jeff Neal, he has the best straight punches in MMA because that's all he throws. You'll rarely see Jeff Neal throw, a hook. He has good head kicks. Leg kicks are okay. He doesn't really go to the leg kicks too much. His boxing is excellent. Like I said, straight shots, very nasty power, good snap, good jab. I do think he can go to the body more. He goes to the body with the kick, so that's good. But with the boxing, I think he can go to the body more. Throw the straight two to the body and then come up top. Defensively, he'll use the high guard. It's a weird looking high guard, like a hybrid. His distance management is pretty good as well. I think he lacks in the IQ department when it comes to the striking realm. I think sometimes he'll go away from stuff that's successful for him. He's very effective in what he does. We've seen him batter, Bilal Muhammad. He's battered a lot of guys. If we're being honest, he's the guy that destroyed Luque's career. His power at welterweight is nasty. He even hurt Shavkat, which is crazy. I would have to put Jeff Neal. I really want to put him at the A tier. And it's kind of weird, putting Jeff Neal above Israel Adesanya. But I think that he's just more effective and he's just more cleaner and crisper. He's technical and he usually gets results. Like pound for pound, I don't see Jeff Neal having trouble with the Sean Strickland style, which is very plotty and very basic, honestly. So I'm gonna put Jeff Neal at the A tier, honestly. I just think in MMA his striking at this point is more effective than Israel Adesanya. The next fighter up on the tier list is MVP. MVP, this is kind of a hard one because in the UFC, his striking has still been effective. We've only seen him in a few fights, so he's very dynamic. His boxing is good, but is very limited. He only usually throws straight shots. He's more of like an elbow guy, a knee guy. He'll counter your blitz with the elbow. He doesn't really have a jab per se. He can throw a jab, obviously, but he doesn't usually go to that. He doesn't go to the body that much either with the boxing. So I think that, his boxing is a little lacking, but it's not bad. Like he could throw a perfect, straight down the middle and knock a lot of guys out. But he doesn't have a boxing toolbox. His kicking game is amazing. Great head kicks, spinning heel kicks, everything you want to see. He has it. He doesn't usually invest to the body or, to the legs. He's more of a headhunter. Flying knees. He's very dynamic. He has very, very good and elite distance management. His defense, he doesn't really have defense because he holds his hands down for majority of the time. So I think there is some lacking aspects there, but he has amazing footwork and good head movement as well. He's able to evade a lot of these punches and kicks that are coming his way. So he does have good defense, but it comes to a detriment at some point, like we seen against Douglas Lima and Bellator a while back. Honestly, I would have to put MVP at the A tier. I think his style is too dynamic to put him in B tier, and he's still having results. Even Ian Gary, he gave Ian Gary hell on the feet. Ian Gary had to grapple him, so I'm gonna have to put him at A tier. The next fighter up on the tier list is Ian Gary. So Ian Gary, I think he's actually very basic. He's a long fighter. He'll keep you at range, pop out the jab. He has very good low kicks, very good high kicks. His boxing is super limited. It's really just straights. He doesn't really have much body work. He's shown it before, but it's not a usual aspect that he implements in his game. His distance management is really good. His defense, in my opinion, is super leaky. I think he has a long way to go there. He stands very tall, keeps his chin up, especially in exchanges. He has decent power. It's nothing crazy. He's more of a decision fighter. Good volume. Overall, just a good dynamic game, but it's not anything complex. I would put Ian Gary at the B tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Dustin Poirier. So this is going to be a hard one because over the years of me watching DP, it's the same thing with Justin Gaethje. Like everyone rates him so highly, but where's their technical ability? They're pretty sloppy for the most part. So like DP, he's a good boxer in MMA. He's not a general good boxer, but in MMA, he's a good boxer. He has a good jab. He has some good pull counter work, especially, earlier in his career. He'll go to the body sometimes, which I like, but it's not a constant thing. He has good power. It's not crazy. For the most part, he's more of an accumulation guy. He'll hurt you and then he'll start putting it on you and put you away like an avalanche. He has good punch variety. He'll throw uppercuts, right hooks because he's a southpaw. His kicking game is kind of lacking. He throws leg kicks at times. He implemented them against Conor McGregor. He rarely throws head kicks. I think he has something wrong with his hips, so I guess I understand. His distance management is decent. His defense is really good. He uses a Philly shell or he uses a high guard uh, with his elbows out. It's kind of like a hybrid weird ass guard. I can't even really explain it, but it works in MMA. We've seen Max Holloway say how weird it was, so it was giving him problems. I would put Dustin Poirier at the B tier. I think his style is effective. The next fighter up on the tier list is Sean O'Malley. O'Malley has good distance management, very good boxing. He can mix to the body, and he does implement it in most of his fights. Good jab, good leg kicks, kick to the body, kick to the head. He has the whole complete package. Defensively, especially off the back foot, he has good footwork, right? He has really good footwork, but when it comes to defense alone, I don't think it's that good. He's kind of leaky. Guys are able to get through when they put him on the back foot and they, cut their cage off. He has really good IQ as well. It shows with his countering ability and very respectable power. I would put Sean O'Malley at the A tier. So the next fighter up on the tier list is Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion. He's another guy that I think is a little limited. He has ability to throw leg kicks. Kind of rarely see a head kick from him, especially kicks to the body. He's more of a boxing oriented guy, which is not wrong. It's still effective. He has nasty power. He's very quick for a heavyweight, one of the quickest heavyweights we've ever seen. His footwork is good. His defense is where he's really lacking. He backs up in straight lines. Sometimes he'll take an angle, but he keeps his chin straight out there in the air, ready to get pinged by a hook or a straight. It's just these fat ass heavyweights can't, make him pay for it. His IQ is kind of a tricky one because I think he makes good decisions, but it's heavyweight, so it's like how good is your IQ? I think a lot of the guys, even in B tier, are better strikers than him, but he is effective, and most of his finishes, come on the feet from the boxing. So I can't be too hard on him because it is heavyweight. I want to put him at the B tier, but what he's able to do to these guys, his boxing and his hand speed for heavyweight is very impressive. He's overall just a good athlete. I'm gonna put him at A tier just for. I'm gonna put him at A tier because he's kind of an anomaly at heavyweight. So you kind of gotta respect that. The next fighter up on the tier list is former welterweight champion Leon Edwards. So this is a tricky one because Leon. So this is a tricky one because Leon is very technical. He's one of the most technical strikers in the sport, but his defense is very leaky, and he's been rocked or even outstriked at times by way lesser fighters, way lesser strikers. Like you could say the same thing about Adesanya, but DDP and Strickland, like they're better strikers than Bilal. So and they're better strikers than Barberena. They're better strikers than Nate Diaz. Like, bro, you're getting hurt by these guys. So his defense is super, super leaky. If you put Leon on the back foot and put volume on him, you're gonna fucking outstrike him. That dude freezes up. I don't know what it is with Leon Edwards, but he always freezes up. He's able to get caught down the center line. Doesn't move his head at all. Offensively on the front foot, he has a good variety of strikes. Leg kicks, head kicks, kicks to the body. I think his kicking game is the best part of his whole striking bag, but his boxing, oh my god, like his boxing is really just a straight left. That's really what it is. He doesn't really pop out the jab too much. Technically, I just don't think he's that good in the boxing realm. He has good elbows in the clinch, good knees. He has good Muay Thai, but he's not really a boxing guy. I think his IQ is not that great, and his power is very lacking as well. He's one of those guys that look like they have power, but they never really get results. Honestly, I don't want to put Leon where I'm going to put him, but I just think even though he is a really good striker, and he's honestly like, if you look at him on the pads, his pad work is the best in MMA. Like, he's picture perfect. But in the fights, like, sometimes he doesn't get the same results. And just seeing him outstriked by, lesser strikers that he's been outstriked by, it's like, what the fuck? I think Leon is more of a balanced guy. as opposed to being a predominant striker, I'm gonna put Leon Edwards at the C tier. Honestly, I don't want to put him there, but I think that's where he should go. So we're coming up to the last three fighters, and they're all featherweights. The first being former featherweight champion Alexander the Great Volkanovski. So Alexander Volkanovski, distance management is very good. His IQ is the best part of his game. His defense is very leaky though. He backs up in straight lines. He keeps his chin out there, keeps his chin up. In the pocket as well, he's able to get countered and hurt. We've seen it against Topuria, Chad Mendes, Max Holloway. Guys are able to find the mark on him at times. He has a very good jab. Leg kicks are beautiful. He could throw head kicks, but he doesn't really go to them as much. Some guys are able to take advantage of him at points, but those are the elite of the elite guys. So overall, I have to put Volkanovski at the A tier. We've never seen, Volkanovski get outstruck by a trash striker or a decent striker, or even a guy like Barberena, like Leon Edwards. How does that happen, bro? So I have to put Alexander Volkanovski at the A tier. Actually, I was wrong. The next fighter is the light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. I forgot about him, honestly. Alex Pereira, good boxing, goes to the body, throws the jab to the body, good leg kicks, good head kicks, good distance management, but his defense is super, super leaky. And he's able to get touched, especially on the front foot. He abandons his guard. He gets too lackadaisical and he's able to get knocked out or countered. We've seen it with Adesanya. We've seen it with Khalil Roundtree. Even Bruno Silva had a little bit of success, which is kind of worrying. But Alex Pereira has a very complete striking bag. He's a former kickboxing pound for pound glory champion. We all know this. Besides his defense, like I was saying, he's good everywhere else. He obviously has, the Thanos gauntlet. He'll touch you one time and you're going to go away. You're going to a different universe. Honestly, I want to put Pereira at the A tier, but I'm going to put Pereira at the S tier because I think he's very effective in his game. He's been able to outstrike guys like Jan Blachowicz, Adesanya. I just think he's one of the best strikers in MMA today. And although he lost to Adesanya, it's kind of weird because, I put Adesanya at the B, then I'm putting Pereira at the S. But I think Adesanya will always give Petta problems on the feet. It's just, their styles, you see that Petta's is more effective than Adesanya's. I don't think Petta would get outstriked by Dricus du Plessis. I think he would counter DDP to oblivion, and Adesanya wasn't able to do that. So that's why I put Petta at the S. So we're down to the last two fighters of the tier list. The second to last being Jerome Max Holloway. So Max Holloway, very good boxing, mixes to the body, throws head kicks. He has good IQ. His defense is super leaky. He's the most punch fighter in the UFC, essentially. He's taking the most significant strikes. Keeps his head on the center line, backs up in straight lines at times. Topuria was actually able to make him pay for that. He has respectable power, but it's not really astronomical. He'll knock you out if you have a bad chin, but if you have a good chin, he's not really going to hurt you. I think he's very effective in MMA. There's not one guy that he's fought, not named Volkanovski, that has outstruck him and made him look like a fool. Even versus Topuria, he had a lot of success. At this point, I would put Max Holloway at the A tier. I think he's one of the best strikers today in MMA. I wasn't always a believer in Max Holloway, but you'll never see Max Holloway get outstruck by a style like DDP or Brian Barberena. Like, come on, bro. That's not going to happen. Come on. So the last fighter on the tier list is pound for pound, number 2, if we're being real, fighter of the year, one of the best fighters in MMA today, Ilia El Matador Topuria. So I'm going to be unbiased here. I think the one aspect that Topuria lacks in is his defense. His defense is good, but it still needs work. Guys are able to find a mark on him, straights down the middle. And sometimes he does, back up in straight lines as well to retreat and reset. But he makes up for it with his side-to-side head movement. He's usually always moving his head, slipping off the center line, slipping jabs, slipping straights, but they're still able to get through when he's sitting there. When he opens up with the left hook, he's always open, and Jai Herbert was able to counter him for that. Kicks to the right side of his guard have gotten through at times. He's been dropped, I believe, 2 times pre-UFC, and then he got dropped by Jai Herbert. It seems like he's addressing it now. Max Holloway had some good disguises to his head kicks off the jab and other, setups, and they weren't able to find the mark on Topuria. So he's been working on it. He has really, really good IQ. I think that's actually the best part of his game. Nasty power. I think he's the best boxer in the UFC. He goes to the body. He has a good jab. The kicking game, he's very lacking. He has good leg kicks, very, very good leg kicks. He out leg kicked Volkanovski. He out leg kicked Max Holloway. He's never thrown a head kick in the UFC. I would have to put Ilia Topuria at the S tier, just on the simple fact that he's very effective. This motherfucker knocked out Volkanovski and Max Holloway. Jerome Max Holloway, back to back. Nobody would ever thought that this random Georgian guy or even anyone would just knock out Volkanovski and Max Holloway back to back. Like, how is that even possible? They're both in the top 10 GOAT list, and they're also some of the best strikers we've ever seen get knocked out back to back. And it's crazy too because bro was a grappler, Greco-Roman jiu-jitsu guy at base. When he first got into MMA, he barely even knew how to strike, let alone box. And now majority of his game is boxing, and he's still able to knock these dudes out that's been striking longer than him. So
dress your fucking age. Carrying a school bag on stage. What are you doing with a school bag on stage? You can't even read.